Vice President J.D. Vance reiterated the Trump administration's interest in Greenland. You probably have watched some of this. He's highlighting how the territory is important not just to America's missile defense, but the entire world's. He also noted the interest in the territory from the bad actors who are out there.
We know that there are hostile adversaries that have shown a lot of interest in that particular territory, that particular slice of the world. So what we're asking our European friends to do is to take the security of that landmass more seriously, because if they're not, the United States is going to have to do something about it.
Well, some top representatives to the U.S. from both Denmark and Greenland reportedly met with the White House yesterday, some officials, and then next week, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to meet with the foreign ministers from Denmark and Greenland for further discussions. So how might all of this unfold? Well, joining me now is Carla Sands, who served during the first Trump administration as a U.S. ambassador to the Kingdom of Denmark, including Greenland and the Faroe Islands. She is currently chair of the Foreign Policy Initiative and distinguished senior fellow for energy policy at America First Policy Institute. Ambassador Sands, welcome to Washington Watch. Appreciate you joining us.
I'm so happy to be with you, Jody. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is our honor in every way. First of all, what do you make of the Trump administration's assessment of Greenland overall?
Well, I think that it's an unfinished business from the first Trump administration back in 2019. President Trump and I discussed these issues in the Oval Office. There's no question that Greenland is unsecure. And I met with the Danish ambassador yesterday and the Greenlandic representative. He's not allowed to be called an ambassador because they're subjects more or less of Denmark. But they want to go independent. Nobody's talking about two important facts, Jody. One is Greenland is going independent, whether Denmark likes it or not. They've stated it publicly. They voted on it. And so when they go independent, they don't have the capacity to defend themselves or develop themselves. It's going to be one of probably three nations that can do that: the U.S., China, maybe Russia, maybe not. So looking at the facts like President Trump does, he's assessed that it's important for the U.S. to secure Greenland. Number two is Denmark keeps talking about NATO and invoking NATO and what a tragedy it would be if the U.S. seized Greenland. I'm not saying that President Trump's going to seize Greenland, but what I am saying is Denmark, yes, they always talk about Article 5. The U.S. will come to the defense of their allies, and all the allies will come to our defense. But they don't talk about Article 3, which comes before Article 5. And Article 3 of the NATO treaty, the NATO charter, says that every allied nation, every member has to be able to defend their territory. Denmark will never be able to defend Greenland. It's a little over 5 million people. Greenland is the world's largest island. It's a third the size of the continental U.S. They don't have the money or the capacity to defend it. So it is undefended today. It's not our job to go in and be mercenaries and defend another country's territory. So President Trump, I think, is spot on, and we'll see how these negotiations go with Secretary Rubio next week with the Danes.
Very, very interesting. So what are the possible ways that the U.S. could acquire, if that's the right word, Greenland? And what's the most likely and maybe the least likely scenarios?
Okay, that's a fair question, Jody. Number one, Denmark sends about $600 million in welfare payments to Greenland. But don't get afraid about that. Don't be scared, because they get a lot back. They've taken a lot out of the ground. There's riches in the ground. There's riches in the sea around Greenland. So there's money to be made by American companies. But Greenland will need some financial support in order for us to have this special relationship. So I think it's a matter of money. It's a matter of development. They don't even have a road between two towns there. There is zero development, except for mostly what the U.S. military built: ports, airports, whatever roads, most of the structures, they were built by the U.S. military when we occupied Greenland from World War II until we were there until the mid-90s after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So it'll take money and then probably the right of Greenlanders to have self-governance. They want to be masters of their own government. And so there are associations that we can have, like a COFA. It's a free association that Greenland would have its own government, but we would do some development. We would absolutely defend it, and therefore it would be secure.
Well, I know you have no way of knowing for sure, but I'd like to have just kind of your opinion. How do you see all of this playing out? I mean, is there a way for the Trump administration's aims and goals, which I think most of us would totally agree with, are there other ways that those could be filled, those goals could be filled without acquiring Greenland? What do you think ultimately is going to happen here?
Well, so first, I didn't finish answering your last question because you asked me what do you think is the least likely scenario. Well, in spite of the fact that Denmark's prime minister said any American activity in Greenland, we're going to shoot first and ask questions later. It sounds like Texas to me. I think that it is very unlikely that we go and invade Greenland, but I don't take anything off the table because President Trump hasn't, of course. But I think the other scenarios. Well, I mean, I don't know how else to get it done. I don't think by the time President Trump leaves office, he's going to leave Greenland unsecure. And the Danes, those arrogant Danes, they're arrogant. Here they are, 5.5 million people with the economy the size of Colorado. And they're saying, we want to own this asset, even though they can't afford to own it. It's like when you own something and you have to sell it because it's just too expensive. That's what this situation is. So I don't know how else to. It's sort of a box, and there aren't that many options, in my opinion.
Well, it's all going to be interesting. I think all of us are going to be watching keenly the meeting that Rubio has next week. That's going to be an extremely important meeting that takes place, and we will see what comes out of that. And hopefully we'll be talking to you further about all this as it unfolds in the weeks and months to come. Thank you so much.